हेलो।
हाँ जी।
हाँ, मेरा वो क्या ना है ज्योत्सना डॉट
Wockhardt, JYOTSANA.Wockhardt@gmail.
ओके, ये पासवर्ड।
Good afternoon, everyone. So today we have last webinar of the day. It's gearing up for 5-year IB evolution. That's what we are looking at. So in my previous two webinars, we addressed like how vertical alignment is essential for any IB school, and especially when you're continuing school, how you have to be more worried about and more aware of how to do the vertical alignment. What is the importance of vertical alignment? And the first webinar of the day was about those who could not join, at least probably for them, I'm just revising. So the first webinar was for creating a happy school and distributed leadership, where your teaching team gets a lot of opportunities to showcase their skills. And last webinar of the day is about the 5-year IP evolution. This is something which we are more keen to work upon. So we are learning, we are growing, and there are certain IB documents which we've gone through, and I've tried to collect information from different documents available on public domain. So the presentation is going to go about how IB authorization or evolution is going to look like. So when it comes to evolution, probably you have to start your journey with the survey, and why self-evolution is important. So we'll be discussing how it is essential, and how and why, and what is a self-study process, so how to go about it, what exactly we do, and who all are involved in this self-study process. What are the key points to remember when you have to work upon, and the visit you have to talk about, and then finally, like how the visit report comes in and looks like. So the survey, when we talk about the survey, it's like you have to ensure at least these questions are taken care of. So who is your TP teacher and what is their role? So if the TP team is in place, of course, after our authorization, everything should be in place. So all the teachers must be aware of their role, what are their responsibilities and roles given to them, and you take a kind of a little survey of it. You try and find out like if everything is in place, or if not, then you really have to be worried about. Of course, you must know who's your DP coordinator. That's something which is very, very important. And what is the role of head of the school? Then, of course, for whom is this their first 5-year self-evaluation? Like us, it'll be something which would happen in 2023. There are schools, they have their second 5-year self-evaluation, and there are some schools, they are into the third round of 5-year self-evaluation. So that's the survey you have to answer, you have to model down, you have to talk about, and you have to collect a lot of information on that. Once you have your data in place, we really need to look into why the self-evaluation is important, why is it needed. So it's like it's a part of a school culture, right? You must develop some sense that when you're working, you have to evolve, you have to grow, and there are ways to check on it. And IP has laid out beautiful parameters, I would say, or strands where you have to meet and you have to reach there. Then there are, of course, multiple perspectives. You have to include the entire community. When we include a school community, it's there's students, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, management, parent body and the locals who are closely involved with the school. So all those people, they have different, multiple perspectives, and you really have to understand them, and you have to come up with something which keeps everyone together. Then of course you have to work on a lot of reflections and the processes of identifying the school strengths and building on those for further development of the program, identifying areas requiring improvement. Then you work on the improvement. You refine the action plan and address if there are any issues. And then, of course, you have to sustain the program. That's what you have to keep in mind, bear in mind. So these are the key factors which you should be keeping in mind while going through a self-evaluation period. So that's something very, very important. Um, so how the self-study process looks like, once any IB school gets IB authorization, the evaluation report comes in, and school begins to work on the same report and build up the next level, and the 5 year evaluation cycle starts right after the authorization. So you have to look into the refinement of your action plan, and then you start with self-study process, and then school visit happens, and then a report comes from IB, and then refinement of action plan, and then you go into self-study process, and again school visit, and so on and so forth. So this is a kind of a cycle which churn the entire system for 2 years, and it works for 5 years, and then that's how the school system remains fresh, and things really go hand in hand. So the basis of self-study is always based on principles and practices. The new principle practices is already in place. So it looks like, you can always refer to this standard practices, which is available on PRC. And so principal practices basically talks about like school context to IB philosophy, and there's a connection. And these are 4 pillars which are seen. So learning is at the center, and the culture, environment, purpose goes hand in hand. So you have to look into the purpose of why the school, and all those whys are answered. And then environment standards are mentioned there, where leadership and governance and student support and teacher support is addressed. And you have to evaluate against all the strands and all the essentials given there. And then the cultural standard is given there. So culture through policy implementation. So how your different policies are kept, and what all policies are there, and how you're coming up with the new policies, or updating the policies, and deleting things which are not relevant to the school anymore, and adding new things, new challenges, so on and so forth. So guiding principles are there. And the learning standard, designing a coherent curriculum, and then students as lifelong learners, approaches to teaching, approaches to assessment. So all those learning standards got to be kept in mind while working on your self-study process. So basically, for a school like us, principles and practices is something which is at the core of every year's curriculum planning and functioning of the school, day-to-day functioning of the school. So the question comes in, like, who is involved, and why people are involved, and who are they? So you look at it like, probably I try to make a list of things, which is like, the local education authorities. They must know how IB programs look like. So if a student takes a transfer, at least things are smoother for them. The accounts department must know. Well, they're random thoughts, because we try to collect information from our teaching team. So as and when things are coming up, so I scale them now. Then you have administrative board, the school administrative board, where you have, like in our case, we have MD, the chairman, and a couple of more people who actually work as advisors. Along with that, we must look into who's your CAS supervisor, advisor. You have head of the school, you have a CAS coordinator, you have teachers, parents, students, support staff, right from media center to transport to catering to security account, everyone. The librarian or librarians, and source teachers, resource teachers, alumni, university career counselors, state owners, the board of the program and IT department support. So all these people come up together, and that's how the school becomes a live place, a breathing place, and they contribute in their own way to the school. And that's how the school has to ensure that these people are involved in your entire journey so that you ensure your growth and development of the school. So, what are the things we have to remember? So we have to remember how to define the descriptors. The descriptors are accessible on PRC, so schools can download it and you can always look into it. Or otherwise, you have your school page where all the descriptors are already been mentioned. Then you have evolving, like you have to involve all the stakeholders in the system. So you keep interacting with them, and it's not that every fifth year you have to start. It's a continuous process. So in our school, we have regular tea evenings or coffee evenings or lunch with the SLT members or something like that. Or in some cases, we've also introduced home visits where the teachers or team members visit the parent body or their places. We've also have our policies in place, and we keep updating it every year. So last year, we updated our policies, and this again, new session, new year is in the around over the corner. So we are going to start a new, updating the policies once again, and then we worked out our PD requirements for next 5 years. And what we've done is we revisit the PD calendar, PD requirement calendar, keeping our requirements if a new subject is in demand or a new teacher has joined in or so on and so forth. So keeping all these things in mind, we keep visiting our PD calendar, keep PD requirements. The timetable in the school schedule is something which we pay attention to the most because this involves almost like entire system. So when it comes to bringing teachers together for collaborative plannings or observations or feedbacks or curriculum planning or vertical alignment or horizontal alignment or so on and so forth, the timetable plays a crucial role with the teaching, with whatever the minimum hours of teaching is required. So we keep that thing in mind, and that's how the timetable and the student schedule plays a major role. And of course, we keep all the evidences. This is something very, very important. So we are using ManageBack, which is quite a handy software for us. So whatever teachers do and student assignments and assessments and submissions are there, we try and keep evidences on ManageBack. Apart from that, we also have our own server. So that CRS or Central Resource Server functions as one of the areas where we store our files. The evaluation visit, like usually the way authorization process takes place. So once either we hear from the regional office prior to the self-study, or sometimes after submission of self-study, sometimes we hear from regional office and they give us a tentative window and dates, and then we work upon that. Um, you know, so that's how things are going to work out, and then accordingly school plan rest of the things. So we set the visit dates, the most agreeable window, and then we organize the teams to visit. So we work on their accommodation and their transport and transfer to the school and to the hotel where they're going to stay. And so we plan everything beforehand. All the documents are in place, your evidences are in place, your stakeholders are aware of what is going on, everybody is on the same page, and then we host the visit. So they're usually two IB educators, senior IB educators, visit the schools and they try and evaluate where we are, and they give a detailed report in return, which helps any school to establish its own space and recognize, like, okay, fine, what are the areas to be answered or matter to be addressed immediately on MTPAs or commendations. At least you get appreciation form of commendations where you are actually following things as per IB standards. And that's how things are laid out. The entire process looks like very easy, smooth, but you have to be careful, and we expect people to be vigilant and to be ready every single day, so that you follow your systems and patterns, and you go as per the requirements which are needed. Of course, this video will be again posted on different social media pages. You can go through it, and if you have any queries or any suggestions, feedbacks, do write to us, or you can put comments there, and definitely we'll get back to you on this. Thank you so very much. Have a great day.